Welcome to 21st Century Common Sense, a bold reform agenda for our broken, gridlocked, dysfunctional, and boring politics. This is one of a series of 4 presentations which discuss challenges to our democracy, proposed fixes to meet those challenges, a special focus on the fix to gerrymandering, and finally a revised draft Constitution 2 to replace the 1787 Constitution now in effect. We need a revised Constitution. Building on the existing Constitution of 1787, the new document will incorporate all the amendments previously adopted, as well as the fixes described in this series of presentations. Several additional items ought to be considered as long as we are rewriting the whole document, and we can update the language from 18th century English to the 21st century. We need to rewrite portions of the Constitution. Some provisions are outdated and no longer serve as intended. Some conflict with modern notions of fairness and equity, especially with respect to voting. Some needed provisions are simply missing from the original document. We have the authority to rewrite the Constitution from the words of the father of the Constitution himself, James Madison, who wrote, quote, "If there be a principle that ought not to be questioned within the United States, it is that every man has the right to abolish an old government and establish a new one." Unquote. Furthermore, we have the precedent of the 1787 Constitutional Convention itself. The delegates simply ignored the procedure for amending the Articles of Confederation then in force. Perhaps we should follow that example. Two approaches exist to convening the Constitution II Convention. The preferred approach is to adopt the Amendment on Amendments and then follow the procedures of that amendment to call a constitutional convention. If that approach can't work, then we must start a citizens' petition, building into a movement demanding constitutional change. Following the precedent of 1787, issue a call to all states to send representatives to the Constitution II Convention. The ensuing Constitution II Convention must garner widespread citizen participation and support. Anyone can join in electronically or in person. States can join, and when 60% of the states do so, the convention can begin officially. A month-long civic lessons can then take place as citizens write, revise, and express their voices on every clause and provision of Constitution II. Ratification can follow the procedure in the Amendment on Amendments, or a plebiscite can be held in all 50 states. Constitution II will go into effect when ratified by 60% of the states, comprising 60% of the population. The result of the Constitution II Convention will be Constitution II, ratified by the people in each of the 50 states. We have a draft Constitution II as a starting point for discussion. Most of the provisions in Constitution II are copied from the 1787 Constitution with updated language and with previous amendments incorporated into the body of the document. Constitution II also includes new and revised elements implementing the reforms proposed in the fixes and the gerrymander fix presentations. The rest of this presentation highlights the principal differences between the existing 1787 Constitution and the proposed Constitution II. Because the rights of the people are so important to our constitutional framework, an expanded Bill of Rights should become the first article of Constitution II and should include these provisions missing from the 1787 Constitution. Distinguish between the rights of persons, of citizens, and of states. Define a citizen, a natural born versus naturalized. Describe unalienable rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Include freedom from unlawful discrimination, prohibition of torture, and a right to privacy. Include rights to health care, education, and the necessities of life, and clarify the Second Amendment. Article 2 on the legislative branch will include term limits in the House and the Senate. The new Senate consists of one senator for every 5 representatives, with a minimum of 1 senator per state and a maximum of 6. The Chancellor of the Senate, who is the position in lieu of the Vice President, it will be elected for a 4-year term in non-presidential election years. The Chancellor appoints all judges, presides over the Senate, and is first in line to succeed the President. The last Vice President manages the transition of Congress to Constitution II and becomes the first Chancellor. All decisions are made by a majority vote in both chambers. Any member can move to bring a matter to the floor for an up or down vote. July 1st, following the next general election, is the earliest effective date of all bills unless 3/5 of a majority in both chambers agree on an earlier date. New powers of Congress include to protect the environment and public health, to provide financial assistance to the states, to regulate campaign financing, to provide financing for federal election campaigns, and to regulate all federal elections in accordance with Article 6. Article 3 describes the executive branch. There are limits on the authorized use of military force, or AUMF. 48 hours to notify Congress, 60 days to obtain congressional approval to continue, annual congressional authority to continue. The President may make temporary appointments if the Senate fails to act within 60 days. For the purposes of continuity, for every presidentially appointed position subject to Senate confirmation, there must exist a civil service deputy. When the appointed position becomes vacant, the civil service deputy takes over until the Senate confirms a replacement. For executive orders, there is a 30-day waiting period. Either chamber may block the executive order by a majority vote during that 30-day period. Article 4 describes the judicial branch. Any present or former federal judge is eligible to serve as a Supreme Court justice. There is a 15-year term of office on the Supreme Court, after which a justice may return to serve on an inferior court. The Chief Justice is selected by the Associate Justices. A federal official who is impeached or is indicted for a felony is immediately suspended from office until the matter is resolved through conviction or acquittal. When alleged misconduct by the President warrants an investigation, the Chancellor shall appoint a special counsel. When alleged misconduct by the Chancellor warrants an investigation, the Attorney General shall appoint a special counsel. Article 5 contains no significant changes from the 1787 Constitution. A national voter registration authority will automatically register citizens to vote at age 18 and will maintain the National Voter Registration Database to be shared with the states when the states conduct elections. New rules in all federal elections are as follows. There is 100% vote by mail. There is a 15-day voting window in which votes are received. Votes must be received by the last day of the voting window. We will use ranked choice voting in all federal elections. We will also have open primaries at all federal elections with 3 winners in each primary. We will have a consolidated election schedule. On July 4th, Congress adjourns. On September 15th, states mail primary ballots to all registered voters. The voting window for the primary is October 1st through the 15th. On November 15th, states mail general election ballots to all registered voters. The voting window for the general election is on December 1st through the 15th. The first Sunday in January, Congress convenes and inauguration of the Chancellor. On the second Sunday in January is inauguration of the president. Congressional redistricting without gerrymanders is also provided for in Article 6. Please see the Gerrymander Fix presentation for details. Article 7 addresses citizen empowerment and constitutional amendments. Citizens and states have these powers: to propose and approve the enactment or repeal of federal laws, that is, initiative and referendum; to propose a constitutional amendment; to propose a constitutional convention for the purpose of writing a new constitution. Only voters can ratify a proposed constitutional amendment or a new constitution. Ratification requires the approval of voters in 2 general elections separated by another general election and the inauguration of a new president. In each such election, the ratification threshold is the approval of 1, a majority of all votes cast, and 2, a majority of votes cast in 60% of the states containing 60% of the population. Thank you for watching this presentation. Please view the others as well. For more information on the challenges, fixes, and draft Constitution 2, follow the link to the book on Amazon. You can also join the conversation at 21commonsense.org. Thanks again.